helicopter. So, yeah, here you can see teams working on
Hallo, we zijn live op bustour over de Noordschleife.
Either because they had an accident or because they only used this car for training purposes yesterday and are now taking it home. Here you can see how our tire looks like if you went a little off track. Then yeah, a rim is broken, tire is damaged and really dirty. Can happen quite fast. Then oil spill already in the paddock here, but also here very good handling from the marshals. And now guess what, if there's a bunch of people who will be around, Max Verstappen. If you want to waste your time standing in front of a tent where you will never see someone showing up, just go here and have fun. Yeah. So for the last race where Max was here, there was even more people, and I asked one of them, guys, what exactly are you expecting? And they said, yeah, we just want to take a picture of Max and so on. And they were not even watching the race, they were just standing in front of this tent for 4 hours to get a picture. Yeah? So for me that's nice, good way to spend your Saturday. If you look to the left here, you can see Michelin, Goodyear, all the tire manufacturers who are providing the teams with tires for the race. So the life cycle, let's say, is that you're bringing a set of tires. This is the toughest part, really. Once we're out on the Nordschleife, everything gets easier. Making it through the paddock is really the biggest challenge. So you bring a set of tires to the tire manufacturers, drop off your rims there, then they put some new sticker tires on. You pay them between 2,000 to 4,500 euros for a set of tires, and then you're allowed to go racing again.
Ik kan ook niet zien of we live zijn. Ja, ik zie wel dat we live zijn.
One of the slick tires lasts for
Alleen ik kan ook niet lezen of er iemand kijkt.
Yeah, 4,500 euros for 8 laps is quite something, and that's only the tires we're talking about. Yeah, we didn't have any fuel, we didn't have the car, and so on and so forth. So quite expensive. What some teams are doing up here. On the right here, we have the technical inspection zone for. Or where the cars are being inspected before the race to see if they are technically complying to the regulations. And also after the race, some of the cars are getting picked out that are also being checked once again, especially the class winners and so on, to just make sure that everyone's running within the regulations. So now we are heading onto the track. We will first go onto the GP track for a couple of meters, and then we turn onto the Nordschleife. If you turn your head to the left, once we get onto the track, you can see the back straight of the GP track, and what you will notice is how much space there is. Yeah. So if you look, for example, where the track is ending, where the curbs are towards the tire barrier, we have, I don't know, let's say 35, 40, 50 meters. Yeah. On the Nordschleife you have 30, 45, 50 centimeters to the barrier. Yeah. So if you ever want to try something with a race car on the Nürburgring, do it on the GP track, because here you have enough space. Don't try anything on the Nordschleife, it will go wrong. Yeah. So this is really something if you're driving a new car that you're not so used to.
Nou zie ik jullie. Rob, Zetu, Rinus. Goedemorgen.
Or get close to spinning so that you can feel where's the grip limit of the tire of the car and so on.
Ik weet niet hoe goed de verbinding blijft.
Immediately, you will not make friends at your team. Yeah, so that's why this is quite a common scenario. So if you turn your head to the left, as I said, that's the back straight, like a really long right-hander, and then the very fast chicane, and that's basically also the last overtaking spot for a couple of kilometers, because once you turn out onto the Nordschleife, at least within your class, it's almost impossible to overtake. During qualifying, you can see it's possible to turn right here to start a new qualifying lap, so that you don't need to go the full 25 kilometers for a qualifier. So you have the chance to do 1 lap of the GP track, or also 10 laps of the GP track, however you want. And then once you start the lap, you turn left onto the Nordschleife, where we are now. Sabine Schmidt's Kurve. Sabine Schmidt's one of the most famous drivers we ever had up here. Sadly, she passed away from cancer already. It's always sad if we already need to name corners after someone, but I think it's a nice touch from the Nürburgring that they did this. So heading into the
Goedemorgen Annelies, goedemorgen Frank.
the 2 kilometer board is your turning point.
Hij geeft er best
then
gas
you
op
will
met
feel a
zijn
little bump here
bus.
on the inside. Yep, that's the one. After that you can go full throttle, and then you can see what I was talking about, the barrier being super close everywhere to the track. Yeah? So there's a lot of parts on the Nordschleife
Dankjewel Annelies.
where the limit is place your mirror close to the barrier. That's how far you're using the track. Yeah? And the bus is already thinking that we're going crazy. So everything is done right. Yeah? This corner here, this right-hander, is extremely slippery when it's wet. That's also why they put the barriers basically onto the track. Yeah. Last year we had an accident here with 8 GT3 cars that were all totaled with a damage of almost 5 million euros in this corner because it's so slippery. And this section is super important because you need to get a good rhythm for your lap here. Yeah, we always say you're just driving from apex to apex here. But if you are already off on your line in this Hatzenbach section, then it's quite common that maybe your lap won't be great. Hocheichen is called like this because of the high trees that are standing here. Quite a tricky corner as well. For a very long time it's super wet because of the trees that are covering the track.
Goedemorgen Manfred, Guus.
And then we are falling into this Quiddelbacher Höhe section. This is the narrowest part of the section. Yeah?
Ik kan me niet voorstellen dat de verbinding goed blijft
Not a
overigens.
lot of space here. If you go side by side with another race car over this bump, it's really squeeze your butt. Yeah? Everything else is fine, but you just have to make sure that you're not doing anything stupid there. Here, heading onto the Quiddelbacher Höhe, that's the section where 2015, I think it was, the Nissan went flying into the spectators and sadly killed one of the spectators. But that shows how dangerous this track is also. Yeah? It's obviously getting safer and safer every year. Yeah, we have some very tricky sections on this track. It is simply the longest and most dangerous, but also the most beautiful racetrack. So here you see the bus is now disappearing back there. Yeah, this is showing the elevation changes that we have on the Nordschleife, which are completely insane. Heading into the Schwedenkreuz section, the weather is coming from that side 90% of the time. And again, if you look at the buses back there now you can see them, and now you see nothing. Yeah. So if you are approaching this section, it's super important in the race car to look very far ahead to notice if there's something going on back here, because you're simply losing sight of what's ahead. Yeah? The Schwedenkreuz sector, we are going 85, 84, 80 minimum speed now in this corner. In a GT3 car in a qualifying lap, 260 kilometers an hour. Yeah? So just so you know,
Goedemorgen Anita.
Pushing a lot with the bus, but it's not quite enough to match the pace yet. Yeah. So Arenberg here, this corner is the only corner where you can do a little experiment because you have a gravel bed on the outside. So if you ever want to brake a little too late on a corner on the Nordschleife, then it's this one. Yeah? There's no other options. Then heading down into the foxhole, wave for the marshals who are always doing a great job out here in the woods. Here you're trying to make a straight line, and you can always see there's a lot of places on the Nordschleife where you can actually see the optimum line just by how shiny it is from all the rubber in the track. Yeah, heading down into the foxhole. Again, in a race car, this is completely flat out. Into the dip, you're staying fully on throttle, easily 260, 265, and then heading uphill. You can see all the scraps on the tarmac from the cars touching the ground. Really impressive during the 24-hour race because you see sparks flying and so on. It's completely crazy. This curb there on the inside, for about 100 years almost, you were able to drive fully over it, and then 2 winters ago they said, let's make it a bit higher because they're repaving the surface every year. And
Goedemorgen Aline.
And then all of a sudden this curb was about
Hey Manfred,
20
dankjewel.
higher, and you were not able to drive it anymore. And there was one guy who found this out, and that was the first guy who drove there after winter, trying to drive like we were all used to for so many years, and then he went flying into the barrier.
Guten Morgen Inge.
Knew, okay, this curb is not drivable anymore. Yeah? Adenauer Forst section, really tricky, super technical. You're not losing so much time on a qualifying lap in the fast section. It doesn't matter if you're flat out or if you're lifting for a split second. Yeah? But if in one of these technical sections you're driving a wrong line or miss your turning point for a meter, then you're losing so much time. And we have so many of these corners on the Nordschleife where it's just important to really place your car well. Here, for example, you go all the way to the grass line on the outside, to the inside quite early, and then you let the car get wide, and then we want to touch the rattlestones here. That's when you really have a good exit like Helmut did now. If you go 2 centimeters too wide onto the grass, day done. Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, Aston Martin did an approach for a record lap here with their Valkyrie, and the driver completely destroyed the car in this section here. Was not possible to identify it as a Valkyrie anymore. That's how fast it can go wrong. Kallenhardt, if we would get out of the bus here, you would be...
NDB, daar ga ik zo vertellen, als we in die bochten zijn.
In the bus, but it's crazy how steep this section is. And when it's raining, there's a proper river running over the track here. And that's something that you need to learn and understand about the Nordschleife. And even someone like Max Verstappen is not going to come here and say, oh yeah, Kallenhardt, obviously there is this river running across. Yeah, that's just something you need to learn from experience. In this corner section,
hey Rob, goedemorgen.
In German, which is mirror corner. It's called like this because back in the days the hedges used to be so close to the track that you used to fold in your mirrors when driving a push lap. Yeah? The triple right-hander is called miss, hit, miss because we missed the first apex, then we hit the second one, and we missed the third one again. The other version from miss, hit, miss is hit, 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 because if you hit the first one, then you hit the second one, and then you hit the barrier. Yeah? So quite easy to learn this section, really. Wehrseifen, now we can relax, because this is the slowest part of the track. Basically, every car has almost the same speed here, because it's such a tight corner. There's not really a lot of difference in speed between the cars. So some of the, let's say, less experienced drivers try to make an overtake diving into this corner, and then it's getting super tight and sometimes wrong then. Back there you can already see the next part of the track. That's something also you learn as a driver to look far ahead. There are some sections where you can see like 3-4
Goedemorgen Rinus.
And then if you make use of this, it's super helpful for you to drive a safe lap and also manage the traffic well. Now we're at the lowest point of the track, so you felt we're always going downhill, and from this point on we're going uphill again, because we need to get back up to start and finish. Now Helmut is picking up the pace for the right-hander, so please breathe out all the air, so we're getting quite light up here. This is a really important corner because you see how steep it is. Everything we went downhill is now going in the other direction. This corner is super tricky in the wet because it's very slippery, and there is a nice video on YouTube. It's called 7 Seconds Nordschleife. You can enter the Nordschleife during tourist driving at the Breitscheidbrücke, so just the bridge we went over, and there were some English blokes and they went onto the track and spun the car immediately in this corner and flipped it on the side. And it's a nice video called 7 Seconds Nordschleife. You can check it out on YouTube. It shows how difficult this track is. This is Niki Lauda corner, not the official name, but everyone calls it like this because in '76 Niki Lauda had his fiery accident here in F1, last F1 race that was ever held up here on the Nordschleife, rightly so because it's just dangerous. And then approaching Bergwerk, which is probably the most important corner on the whole track. Why? Because from here on it's going uphill for almost 2.5 kilometers.
Nee, hij neemt de curbs niet mee.
Then you might as well just abort the lap because your lap time will just drop for the whole uphill section. Yeah? And sometimes in a race, if you're fighting with someone, it's really easy. Let's say you will see this later on in the race. If between the GT3 cars there is a gap of 5-6 seconds between two cars and someone has a bad exit, the other car is right on their tail at the top of the hill. It's super easy to gain and lose a lot of time in this section.
Is dat definitief, Rob?
Yeah, here this is all flat out, so from Bergwerk in a GT3 car all the way up to the top, it's flat out. I can tell you where it's not flat out. Just on the left there is the track for mountain biking, and the first section of the
track Daan en Jet,
and then you reach the bottom in Breitscheid, and then
Daniel en Boas,
why did I do this?
Michel, goedemorgen, Johan, Donadonis, Zorro.